We're at the bottom southeastern corner of Hyde Park, and this is Hyde Park Corner. And as we leave these beautiful gates here, built by Demetrius Burton well back when, we're going to go into one of the busiest roundabouts in London and show you Hyde Park Corner. By the way, this is a fantastic place for coffee, but we'll show you that in a future video. Hyde Park Corner is absolutely stacked with history, and unlike me, you don't almost have to risk life and limb to get here. There is a subway that takes you from all corners of the roundabout and into the centre. Alright, so just health and safety. Anyway, you've got the Wellington Arch, which is in the middle, and we're going to show you that, and we're going to open up something that not a lot of people know. This is the look back to Hyde Park, and this is the beautiful iconic screen that lots and lots of people walk through to get into Hyde Park, especially when Winter Wonderland is on, or alternatively the different concerts. Then as we scan around, you've got Apsley House, which is behind the tree, which was used by the Duke of Wellington. You've got Park Lane, and that tall building that you've just seen behind the tree is the Hilton at Park Lane. As we go round, we've got different monuments, including the Wellington Monument. We've also got the New Zealand War Memorial. And then as we go round back past the arch, that wall you can see there just by the grass is the Australian War Memorial. And this is the Royal Artillery Memorial, and we're going to tell you more about all of these as we go around Hyde Park Corner. So once again, this is the Royal Artillery Memorial, and it's a First World War memorial located right here in Hyde Park Corner. It was designed by Charles Sergeant Jagger with architectural work done by Lionel Pearson and unveiled in 1925. And the memorial commemorates the 49,076 soldiers from the Royal Artillery killed in the First World War. The memorial is made of Portland stone, and the base supports a 1/3 over life-size sculpture of a howitzer, which is a type of artillery field gun. The fund that put together this statue back in the early 1900s was called the Royal Artillery War Commemoration Fund, and originally they were looking for sites to place this monument in the vicinity of Buckingham Palace or on the Mall, and even at one place they were even thinking of putting it outside of Westminster Abbey. In the end they decided that they wouldn't be able to get planning permission from the relevant authorities, and it was decided to put it here on a leafy roundabout in central London. Well, you can't get much more leafy with Hyde Park on one side and Green Park on the other, but it's also a fantastic commemoration for those who lost their lives in the First World War. So this is the First War Memorial on the roundabout. The next one we look at is the Australian War Memorial, which was much more modern and opened in 2003, although the decision to actually build the monument started in the year 2000. Hyde Park Corner as we see it now started way back in the 1820s when the Commissioner of Woods and Forests and the King resolved that Hyde Park and the area around it must be renovated to the extent and the splendour of rival European capital cities. The King wanted a triumphal approach to Buckingham Palace, which had been recently opened, which is right opposite Hyde Park Corner. They gave the project to Demetrius Burton, and the key piece was at Hyde Park Corner the King required that some great ceremonial outwork that would be worthy of the new palace that lay to its rear. Burton put in for a proposal for the arch and also the screen, which we've seen by Hyde Park, which were accepted. The memorial comprises of the semicircular carved wall of grey-green granite slabs, which came direct from Western Australia. They were Verde Lugani granite, which came from Australia. They were cut in Australia before being shipped to London. The writing on the granite stones represents the names of 23,844 towns in which the Australian soldiers were born, in Australia, UK and also elsewhere. Also, they've got some of the town names which are picked out in bolder type, creating the names of the 47 battles in which Australia was involved in the larger font. During the summer months, water flows down over the front of the names, which is intended to evoke memories of service, suffering and sacrifice. This certainly is an impressive memorial, and it takes up a big chunk of this corner of Hyde Park Corner, or the roundabout here. Right, let's go and have a look at the Duke of Wellington Arch next. Now, what a lot of people don't know, and me included until I got here, is you can get up to the top. Now, when I go to say go to the top, I mean you can go up to this level. But if you're coming up here, you also need just to watch out what times they're open, because the first time I came up here, they were closing within 10 minutes. So if you just Google Duke of Wellington Arch, they'll then have the opening times. Also, the other great news is if you're a member of English Heritage, which thankfully I am, you can go in there for free. There's no charge. Otherwise, there is a small charge to go up. Also, the other great news is it's completely accessible. There's a lift that goes to all the floors. Yes, there's more than one floor. And once you get to the art gallery stroke studio at the top, yes, there's one of those, there's also a smaller lift then that takes you to the final part. So it's completely accessible for everyone, which is brilliant, especially for a monument of this age. As you take your trip up, there are two different floors. Now, on one of them, you've got this, which is all about World War I, which is also in conjunction with the memorial, which we've seen already. But it gives you much greater insight into World War I, those that died during World War I, and some of the unknown facts, especially relating to the memorial that there's here on Hyde Park Corner. Also, if you want, you've got some great views out on this floor as well. Then, on the other floor, you have this, which is all about the monument which sits on top of the arch. And it's always funny, because when you look at these monuments from afar, you think, wow, yeah, it's probably quite big, but you don't realise how big it is. And that is actually the size of the horse's head, which is sitting above us. So yes, it's quite large. So it's worth coming in here. It's all part of the exhibition. And the good news is, as I can demonstrate here, the lift stops here as well. So you can get in and out. And there you go. There's a view out from the window. And that is the back of Buckingham Palace Gardens. Right, shall we go up? Yes, why not? Oh, by the way, these are the gates as well, so you get a good view coming through the arch of the green gates as well. Right, let's go up. And as we go up the stairs, so this is the way up if you want to take the staired route up. And actually, I've been through a lot thinner stairs, like at the monument, etc. So actually, it's not too bad. But when you get to the top, you've got a gallery. And the gallery has got different exhibitions on at different times. So, depending on your taste, it's all included within the fee. If you're paying, and if you're not, it's all included within the free entry. So whatever you do, do take your time to come and have a look around. Okay, so we'll have a look around the gallery here, and then, do you know what? Let's do it. Let's get upstairs and get some fantastic views from the top of the monument. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with the views from where we've come from. So back over towards Hyde Park, which is over the wall, and there you go. You'll recognise it. Now that is Park Lane, and that's the traffic coming down Park Lane and going up, with the Hilton Hotel just behind the building in front of us. That's Apsley House, which is where the Duke of Wellington lived. And then you've got the entrance into Hyde Park, which we walked through earlier to come onto Hyde Park Corner. The road where the buses are going round is Knightsbridge. Yes, that's the road Knightsbridge, so it takes you down towards Harrods. You see, everything is quite close right by. And the white building in front of us is the Landsborough Hotel. So if you're coming to London and you're staying at this 5-star hotel, this is where it's situated and giving you a view back over Hyde Park Corner. Now we're looking over the back garden of Buckingham Palace, but you're going to get a better view in a minute. And the road there takes you down to Victoria. That's Grosvenor Place, that also takes you down towards Belgravia. There you go, you've got the Australian War Memorial, then you've got the Royal Artillery Memorial right in front of us there, and then of course back across to Hyde Park, Apsley House, and then that's the Duke of Wellington statue in front of it, which we will have a look at a little bit later. Right, let's go to the other side of the monument, so you have to go back inside and then out the other side. So there we go, we'll pick up Park Lane, with the Hilton being the large building that's behind that white one there. But what's great here is you get a view down Green Park, and that is Constitution Hill, which takes you down to Buckingham Palace. And how about this for the view of the back garden of Buckingham Palace? And if you fancy an even better view of Buckingham Palace from inside the garden, we've got a video for you up in the top right hand corner, which is when we went to Buckingham Palace. And they do open up the back gardens every summer, but you've got to be quick with the tickets to be able to get in there. Earlier in the video, I gave you some of the background history to the Hyde Park corner, but there's stacks more. So if you search us out on a podcast, there's a whole episode on there, including some big arguments the designers got into about the statue on top of the arch. Without doubt, this is one of those secret London locations that so many people don't know about, including locals, including myself until very recently. But then as you look down Constitution Hill, what's great is you can see the Shard off in the distance and of course the London Eye looking back at you. Many will know with the passing of the Queen just under a year ago that a code word was used which is London Bridge has fallen. Well, interestingly enough, back in 1952, Hyde Park Corner was used for King George VI's death to notify everybody. Also, what's good is coming up here during the winter when there aren't as many leaves on the trees, you can see a little bit further away, which is great, which you'll probably have your view obstructed by the leaves later on in the year. Right, let's back down on ground level and we're going to head towards the New Zealand War Memorial, and we'll have a look at that in just 1 second. But before we do, let's have a look back at where we've just been looking from so you can see how high up we were. And this is where I was filming from when you saw the back garden of Buckingham Palace and down Constitution Hill as well, which is great because many people probably wouldn't even notice you up there. Okay, well, let's continue our tour on Hyde Park Corner, and we're now heading towards the New Zealand War Memorial. And you may have noticed earlier, you can see here, that some of these are lit up. The official title of the War Memorial is called Southern Stand, and it's the war memorial for those that died from New Zealand in the First and Second World Wars, unveiled in 2006, and it was designed by New Zealand architect and sculptor John Hardwick Smith and Paul Dibble. So in total you've got 16 bronze standards which are set on the grassy slope here, and each standard is a cross-shaped metal girder which weighs approximately 700 kilograms each. As you can see, there's artwork on each of them, and it's for those from New Zealand to feel like they're at home, and for those from the UK to learn a lot more about New Zealand culture and its similarities with the UK. Now, you'll notice that they're all projecting at an angle and they're all facing south, so that gives you an idea of where south is, but the angle is intended to resemble the posture of warriors performing a haka, or that of a cricket bat playing a defensive stroke, or the barrel of a shouldered gun. Now the standards have all got different heights with the ends cut off diagonal, so they resemble cross-like grave markers from a distance, which they certainly do, and 9 of the standards form in a regular grid pattern with a 10th as a leader. Now the 6 other standards stand away from the main group in a pattern similar to the Southern Cross and bear the LED lights that are illuminated. It's one of these places that you could spend hours looking at each individual cross and all of the individual markings on them. Every single one of them is different. And if you think about it, you've got the 4 different sides, so you could spend a long time here. So if you're from New Zealand and you're coming over to the UK, whatever you do, make sure you do spend some time and come over to Hyde Park Corner. I know we have quite a few watchers over in New Zealand, so if you're in New Zealand, were you aware this was here? And if you've been to London, have you seen this? Anyway, do let us know in the comments down below, and also tell us what you think of the artwork and the sculpture which has been set up. The thing that I love most about this memorial is not only the fact you've got so much information and you could spend an age looking at it, but it's also quite interactive. So you can walk around and through and just have a look at what you fancy having a look at. And this angle really does give you a great shot back at some of the artwork on some of the pillars. Still with a couple of memorials to show you, this one is the Machine Gun Corps Memorial, and this is also known as the Boy David, which is a memorial to the casualties of the Machine Gun Corps in the First World War. Our final statue to bring you is the Duke of Wellington himself, on his horse Copenhagen, with all hooves planted on the ground. It's been done in bronze and it was unveiled back in 1888, and it actually stands on an area which was once called Wellington Place before it became Hyde Park Corner, before it was renamed. The statue of Wellington was placed like this so he actually faced his old home, which is Apsley House, which is right over the road from him. That's the building we showed you earlier. So that was Hyde Park Corner. What did you think of it? For a big roundabout, there's certainly a lot of action going on within, and certainly lots to come and see. Anyway, talking of big roundabouts in London, we've got another one with a major statue on it. It's Marble Arch, and I've left a video on that up in the top right hand corner. See you in there.